हरि। यशोदनंदन व्रज जन रंजन, यशोदनंदन व्रज जन रंजन, यमुना तीरा वनचारि, यमुना तीरा वनचारि। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय गोपीचन वल्लभा गिरिवरदारी, जय गोपीचन वल्लभा गिरिवरदारी। यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन, यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन, यमुना तीरा वनचारि, यमुना तीरा वनचारि। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम राम राम। हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। जय प्रभुपादा जय प्रभुपादा, जय प्रभुपादा श्रील प्रभुपादा, जय प्रभुपादा जय प्रभुपादा, जय प्रभुपादा श्रील प्रभुपादा। जीवन पुष्पाद परमहंस परमहंस सदस्य श्रीमती स्वयं श्री भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। इस्कॉन संस्थापक श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। जीवन पुष्पाद परमहंस परमहंस सदस्य श्रीमती स्वयं श्री भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। जीवन पुष्पाद परमहंस परमहंस सदस्य श्रीमती भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज प्रभुपाद की जय। जीवन पुष्पाद श्लोक किशोर दास प्रभु महाराज की जय। जीवन पुष्पाद सच्चिदानंद श्री भक्तिवेदांत ठाकुर की जय। जीवन विष्णुवाद वैष्णव सार्वभौम श्री जगन्नाथ दास महाराज की जय। जय श्री रूप सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ श्री जी भट्टदास रघुनाथ गोस्वामी प्रभु की जय। नमाचार्य श्री दास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम श्री कौशिक कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत दास श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड के गोवर्धन की जय। श्री श्री गौरांगी बेंगलोरीश्वर भगवान की जय। श्री मायापुर धाम की जय। श्री वृंदावन धाम की जय। गंगा मई की जय। यमुना मई की जय। भक्ति देवी की जय। तुलसी देवी की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव के जय, श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन के जय, ग्रंथ श्रीमद् भागवतम के जय, इस्कॉन पटमन गुरुवंत के जय, समाज भक्तवंत के जय, गौरव प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल. All glories to the assembled. All glories to the assembled. All glories to the assembled. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Shri Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam. Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. Nashtaprayeshu Apatreshu Nityam Bhagavat Sevaya. Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhakti Naishtivi. Hare Krishna. Welcome to the Friday morning Srimad Bhagavatam class. Today we are discussing from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 3, text 12 to 14. First we'll read text number 12. Pasya Parayantir Abhavanyavyoshito Yalankritaha Kantasaka Varutashaha Yasam Rajadibihi Shitikanta Manditam Navo Vimanai Kalaka Hamsa Pandubihi Pashyaprayantir Abhavanya-yoshito Vyalankritaha Kantasaka Varu Tashaha Yasam Vajadivihi Shitikanta Manditam Namo Vimane Kalahamsa Pandubihi Pashyaprayantir Abhavanya-yoshito Vyalankritaha Kantasaka Varutashaha Yasam Vrajadibihi Shidikantamanditam Navo Vimane Kalahamsa Pandvihi. Translation Srila Prabhupada ki jai. O never born, O blue-throated one, not only my relatives, but also other women dressed in nice clothes and decorated with ornaments are going there with their husbands and friends. Just see how their flocks of white airplanes have made this entire sky very beautiful. Here Lord Shiva is addressed as Abhava, which means one who is never born. Although generally he is known as Bhava, one who is born. Rudra, Lord Shiva, is actually born from between the eyes of Brahma, who is called Swayambhu, because he is not born of any human being or material creature, but is born directly from the lotus flower which grows from the abdomen of Vishnu. When Lord Shiva is addressed here as Abhava, this may be taken to mean one who has never felt material miseries. Sati wanted to impress upon her husband that even those who were not related to her father were also going, to say nothing of herself, who was intimately related with him. Lord Shiva is addressed here as blue-throated. Lord Shiva drank an ocean of poison and kept it in his throat, not swallowing it or allowing it to go down to his stomach. And thus his throat became blue. Since then he has been known as Nilakanta, or blue-throated. The reason that Lord Shiva drank an ocean of poison was for others' benefit. When the ocean was churned by the demigods and their demons, the churning at first produced poison. So because the poisonous ocean might have affected others who were not so advanced, Lord Shiva drank all the ocean water. In other words, he could drink such a great amount of poison for others' benefit. And now since his wife was personally requesting him to go to her father's house, even if he did not wish to give that permission, he should do so out of his great kindness. Text number 13. Katam sudaya piturgeha kautukam nishamya deha surapadya nengate anahuta api abhiyanti sauhridam bhartur guru deha katascha ketanam. Translation Srila Prabhupada. O best of the demigods, how can the body of a daughter remain undisturbed when she hears that some festive event is taking place in her father's house? Even though you may be considering that I have not been invited, there is no harm if one goes to the house of one's friend, husband, spiritual master, or father without invitation. Text number 14. Tanme prasidedam amartya vanchitam kartum bhavan karuniko Bhatarhati Vayatmanorte Ham Adaprachakshusha Nirupita Manu Grahana Yachitaha. Translation Srila Prabhupada. O immortal Shiva, please be kind towards me and fulfill my desire. You have accepted me as half of your body. Therefore, please show kindness towards me and accept my request. ओम अज्ञानप्रमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुर्मिलितं तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्ण चैतन्यदेवं श्री राधाकृष्णपादान् सगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोस्तुते तप्तकाञ्चन गौरांगी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिय वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्यः च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। मोहम करोति वाचालं पंगं लंघे कृपादमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं परमात्मा श्री चैतन्य ईश्वर। Hare Krishna. So, just to give a background, Daksha, one of the Prajapatis, had organized a very grand ceremony at his place, and he had invited all the demigods, the saintly persons, rishis, etc. And he did not invite Lord Shiva because in the earlier sacrifice that he had performed, there was a discussion between Lord Shiva's followers and Daksha's followers, where Daksha actually misunderstood the position of, or miscalculated the position of Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is actually the greatest of the Vaishnavas. Though Daksha is a Prajapati from whom mankind, he has his own thing, mankind comes. So he underestimated the position of Lord Shiva, and Lord Shiva did not get up when Daksha entered and everyone else got up. So he underestimated, and then he got upset. He got angry on Lord Shiva. The followers of Lord Shiva got angry on Daksha. Cursing and counter-cursing happened. So now he's organizing another ceremony at his place where he has invited everybody. But Lord Shiva and his wife, Sati, who is the daughter of Daksha, they are not invited. So Lord Shiva was not in favor of Sati going to that function. So she is pleading Lord Shiva to let her go. So in the first verse we see here, she is addressing Lord Shiva as Abhava. One is Abhava and the other one is Nilakanta. So Abhava means here Srila Prabhupada mentions one who is never born. Actually Lord Shiva is born from Lord Brahma, from the anger that came out of Brahma from his two eyes. So Lord Shiva is born, but in this particular purport, when it is mentioned about Abhava, that means Lord Shiva is not affected by any material miseries. That means Lord Shiva has not been affected by any material modes of the three modes of material nature, that is goodness, passion, and ignorance. That is the meaning of Abhava. And also, she is addressing Shiva as Nilakanta. Nilakanta means a blue-throated one who has got a blue throat. And Lord Shiva has got this blue throat out of his compassionate nature. Lord Shiva is a great Vaishnava, great devotees of Lord Vishnu, and is compassionate by nature. A devotee is generally always peaceful because he is always concerned with his service to Krishna. He is not concerned with anything to do with the material world. Also, a devotee does not have any material desires and sees everything connected to Krishna. So this pastime is mentioned in the 8th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. When the churning of the milk ocean takes place, what happens is the first thing that comes out is a poison. Now, when this poison came out, there was a great calamity that would have happened if this poison would have been consumed, because it would have been a disaster for the civilization as a whole. So Lord Shiva, out of his compassionate nature, he took that poison and drank it. He could take sufficient enough. So we see that but he did not let it go down to his stomach. He held it in his throat. In the process, his throat became blue. That is why he is called as Nilakanta. So uh, here Sati is addressing Lord Shiva as Abhava and Nilakanta. That means actually she is glorifying Lord Shiva. Now here she is glorifying Lord Shiva because she has some expectation from him. The expectation is that Lord Shiva did not want her to go to her father's ceremony. The reason will be coming in the following purports, because when Sati goes there, she will be feeling insulted. But Sati was not in a position to understand that, but she is insistent on Lord Shiva giving her permission to attend the function. So the point is that a couple of things. One is that man is a social animal. It's generally said man is a social animal. He can't remain alone. He always wants to be in some association or the other, whether material or spiritual. And that is the reason we find so many clubs, societies, entertainment clubs, sports clubs, and so forth, because people want to gather. They can't remain at home. And if they remain at home for some time, they get fed up seeing each other or talking to each other. They want some more association. So that is the reason these entertainment clubs and sports clubs have sprouted. Apart from this, there are also many celebration events like Independence Day, Father's Day, Mother's Day, Green Day, and Environment Day. So many days come out every second day. And all these events are a source of some sort of a gathering for celebrating the event. There is no dearth of it. So, in particular, it is said that a woman would always, because generally men used to go out doing their duties, and women used to be alone at home. So that is why it's always said that women also looks for association, and that association they get from social gatherings, events, or neighbors in the form of women, etc. So in these places, generally there is a tendency for women to dress up nicely, putting nice clothes, and then a lot of nice jewelry. And these are occasions where women exchange their views on these dresses and jewelry and etc. And they would like to show what uh, they have purchased, and they discuss. One might say, this is the necklace that my husband has brought. Other one might say that this is a nice sari that my husband has brought. So these are all things that are very common. But what happens is that all these events or celebrations are normally on a bodily concept of life. And sometimes they become even more of a compulsion. One may not want to go and attend an event, but still out of compulsory situation, one feels that they have to go and attend the event out of a situation. If we don't go, they will feel bad. So this compulsion also forces someone to attend these events. So Daksha had organized this grand event, and when everybody was invited, and he had not invited Lord Shiva, naturally his wife Sati wanted to be a part of that event, because all her sisters, all her friends, many associates, they were all attending the event. So she wanted to impress upon her husband that even though many who were not related to her father Daksha, they were all going there. So why not she, when she was intimated relatively to relate in relationship with blood relationship with Daksha as father and daughter. So she's pleading and she's asking for Shiva's mercy and compassion. That's why Lord Shiva, being compassionate, she's addressing him as Nilakanta, because out of his compassionate nature, to save mankind, he drank that poison. So she is seeing the sky is full with nice, beautiful flocks of airplanes. And she says that they are all going there with family and friends. And these airplanes have made the sky very, very beautiful. So the airplanes of the demigods are not something like normally we all have, which makes a lot of sound. And of course, it is said that they consume a lot of fuel and create pollution in the atmosphere. But the airplanes that demigods normally have are different. They can fly from one planet to the other planets. We may have these days jets and all going, but they have these airplanes which look very attractive. They are white in color, and when they all go in a group, when all the demigods go from one planet to another, the sky looks very, very beautiful. So she's mentioning that since she was personally requesting Lord Shiva to let her go to father's house, even if she was not invited, she should do so out of kindness for her by her husband. So she's explaining that, see how nicely so many are going with their airplanes. It's very beautiful. In the following verse, he says, "O best of the demigods, how can the body of a daughter remain undisturbed when she hears that some festive event is taking place in her father's house?" That means, how can her mind be not disturbed when she knows that a great event is taking place in her father's house and she's not there? So he further says, even though you may be considering that I have not been invited, there is no harm if one goes to the house of one's friend, husband, spiritual master, or father without invitation. So she further says that there's nothing wrong if one goes to her father's house or a friend's house or spiritual master's house or a friend's house without invitation. So please give me permission. And in text sloka number 14, she says, "O immortal Shiva, please be kind towards me and fulfill my desire. You have accepted me as half of your body. Therefore, please show kindness towards me and accept my request." So she's again pleading that I'm half of your body. Therefore, please show your kindness and please accept my request. So in this thing, there are some important points which I have taken from Srimad Bhagavatam. A wife is considered generally to be a better half of the husband. Why a better half of the husband? Because actually, if we see in a family life, it is her. No, people say that husband protects his wife, but at the same time, it is also true that a true wife protects her husband by helping him in achieving love of Godhead. That means a devotee, a wife who is a great devotee of the Lord, she helps in making her husband also a devotee and helping him to achieve love of God. And she also sees how to make her children Krishna consciousness. That is a true love of a wife to a husband or to her children. So in the Esther years, normally wife used to behave this way. And the grandmas used to narrate normally stories from the scriptures because male did not have time. They used to work for work. So they used to be receiving their work and taking care of their duties. But the mothers and grandmothers used to give stories to their children from scriptures, no film stories, but scriptures. So this way, by being chaste to her husband, and the husband was also normally trained as a brahmachari. So in this type of a combination, it is said that they used to live a very peaceful life. So that is why it is said that wife is supposed to serve her husband and be very chaste and serving not only her husband but also everyone related to him in a very humble manner, as if they were all her own, without creating a difference between her family and her in-laws family. Those days they never used to differentiate, this is my parent, my sisters, or husband's parents or husband's sisters. So nowadays, mostly the husband and wife relationship is based on sense gratification. And that is why there is a lot of dispute within the family. And we see that many marriages have ended up in divorce and children are affected. It's very common in the Western culture. And we see that it is very common, it is building up in our country also. So that is why in Srimad Bhagavatam it is mentioned that the training of a boy is a brahmacharya and the training of a girl is chastity. So a faithful wife and a spiritually trained brahmachari are a good combination for advancement of the human mission. So that is why it is said that a wife is like a half of her husband. Ardhangini, they say in Hindi. Similarly, there are some examples in Srimad Bhagavatam. We'll go through some of these examples. Karda Muni is one example. He wanted to have a good wife of his own disposition because a wife is necessary to assist in spiritual as well as material advancement. See, a good wife yields fulfillment of all the desires in religion. They say dharma, artha, kama, moksha. It starts with religion to practice economic development, and when economic development comes, one wants to satisfy their senses. Finally, when they are fed up with the sense gratification, they want to get liberated. So if it is said that if one has a good wife, a husband is considered to be a very fortunate man. In astrology also it is said that a man is considered fortunate who has got great wealth, very good sons, and a very good wife. And of the three, one who has got a very good wife is considered the most fortunate. Before marrying, therefore, one should select a wife of a like disposition. Nature should be something very similar, which earlier the astrologers used to do with a perfect science understanding of the astrology. And one should not be enamored by the so-called artificial beauty or other attractive features for sense gratification. Because all these things go off, they may look very attractive in the initial stages, but as one ages, all this beauty and attraction, they all go away. It doesn't remain eternally. People might try to put water, creams, and so many artificial things to make themselves beautiful, or dye their hair to give colors, but then what is naturally there, and one can't hide it for a very long time. So it is said in the Srimad Bhagavatam 4th canto that a real wife is a dharma patni, that is a woman accepted in marriage by ritualistic ceremony. Such a wife is called dharma patni, which signifies that she is accepted in terms of religious principles. So the religious principles are established by the Lord himself, dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat pranitam. So when one gets married based on this ritualistic ceremony, she is called a dharma patni. And children born out of such dharma patni, or a woman married according to religious principles, inherit the property of the father. But children born of a woman who is not properly married do not inherit the father's property. So that's why a dharma patni also is referred to as a chaste wife. A chaste wife who's never had any connection with men before her marriage. Once somebody has had some connection before marriage, and then what happens is that if they marry someone else, if they marry, then it's like a love marriage, even if they arrange a marriage through ritualistic ceremonies, which need not last for a long time, because the marriage of love is based generally on external beauty. Or even if they don't marry, or if they arrange a ritualistic marriage also, it need not be a ritualistic marriage, not based on established religious principles. So a chaste wife is one who has never had any connection with men before her marriage, and vice versa. That means the brahmachari is one who has not had any connection with a woman before marriage. And it is true, it is said that once a woman is given freedom to mingle with all kinds of men in her youth, it is very, very difficult for her to keep her chastity. She cannot remain chaste. Example is given when butter is brought into the proximity of fire, it starts melting. So similarly, a woman is like fire and a man is like the butter. But if one gets a chaste wife accepted through a religious marriage, through a proper ritual, then she can be of a great help to her husband when one is threatened by many dangerous situations of life. When we say dangerous situations of life, a man is also exposed to a lot outside these days, where women are also working. Thereby, there can be many hazardous situations, and a good chaste wife can protect her husband from fall down. That is why it is said that such a wife can become the source of all the good intelligence. And with such a good wife, the family's engagement in devotional service of the Lord actually makes a house a grihasthashrama, that is a house dedicated to spiritual cultivation, which is what is important. If a house that lacks spiritual cultivation is a grihamedi, which lives on sense based on sense gratification, and such a house there's always quarrels and fights and everything, and children become frustrated being in a house like that. That is why we see that many times these days children are also lost in this world. Some examples we will go through of chastity of women from the scriptures. You see, Goddess Sita, when Lord Rama was asked to go on exile for 14 years, he came to say, by his father, he came to see Sita. And he asked Sita to take care of his father and also follow Bharata's commands. But she wants to accompany Ram as wife shares both fortune as misfortune. She explains that a wife is meant to share both fortune and misfortune. And then Lord Rama explained the dangers of the forest. He says that uh, in a forest, it is filled with demons, dangerous animals, and one has to walk barefoot, which is full of thorns, sleep in the grounds, eat fruits which are grown in the ground. Night will be very dark and full of scorpions, mosquitoes, and snakes, and winter will be very freezing. Summer will be burning hot. But Sita said, I haven't taken a vow of serving you in any condition. I will be a shadow of you. My duty is to protect you. This is how Sita protects her husband by being a part of her husband's thing. She further says it is the duty of a wife to share her husband's destiny, and therefore I shall go with you to the forest. Father, mother, son, daughter in law all have separate identities. That means in a house, father, mother, brother, son, except daughter in law all have separate identities. But a wife has no choice but to follow her husband. So this is how she convinces Lord Rama of the need for her to accompany Lord Rama. She says further, I will walk behind you, I will eat only after you have eaten. I would not want to live in a heaven without you. In spite of all her requests, Rama tried to discourage her by giving the status of conditions of life in the forest. But she replied, whether it be heaven or hell, she will accompany Rama. And seeing her stubbornness, finally Rama agreed to take Sita with him. This is how the family life in the Vedic times were. So it is said that the Vedic times the wife was supposed to follow her husband because the husband is supposed to be a representative of Narayana. So if the husband lives like a representative of Narayana house, she becomes a representative of the goddess of fortune, representing Lakshmi. And such a grihastha life, he lives a very blissful life. This is mentioned in the Shastras. So that is why it is said that one's wife must be very similar to the man. In other words, it is said in Shastras, an intellectual man should marry an intellectual wife. A heroic man should marry a heroic wife. A business-minded man should marry a woman who can encourage him in such activities. And a Shudra should marry a less intelligent woman. There are reasons for this. This is mentioned in the Shastras only in Srila Prabhupada, using the Prabhupada. If an intelligent man marries a foolish woman and a woman is not intelligent enough to understand her husband, his nature, and how to get along with him, there are always conflicts, possibilities of conflicts and quarrels. That is why it is said that a businessman should always marry a woman from a background so that she encourages him and understands him in such activities. So the wife must be beyond reproach in terms of a background and character and should always be younger than oneself, ideally 5 to 10 years younger. So that is why it is said that a wife should be younger than her husband by 5 to 10 years. And then there is also a mention that if one desires to marry a second wife, then as stated in the Shastras, one must wait until the first marriage is established and then select a second wife from the next lower caste. Of course, these days in Hindus, this system does not exist. But then I'm just quoting because if during those days, even a Brahmana used to marry many wives. But the first time when he marries, he marries a Brahmani wife. Second time he marries his second wife will be from a Kshatriya community, from a lower one. Third one will be for the Vaishya, and the fourth one from a Shudra community. Similarly, a Kshatriya will always marry a Kshatriya lady. And if at all, Kshatriya generally marry many times, those days also. And if they have a second marriage from Vaishya community, third one from Shudra community. These are stipulations that are given in the scriptures for a successful married life. So going back to the scriptures, we see some examples like Devahuti serving her husband with a lot of respect and with great intimacy, and with controlling her senses with love and very sweet words So Devavati also used to please Karda Muni out of a lot of sweetness, speaking very nice, beautiful words. But she did not expect anything from her husband in the process. Like we see here, Sati expecting something from her husband Shiva in the process of glorifying him. Devahuti did not expect anything him, but served Kardamani very menial way. And that's how finally they had a very successful Grihastha life. Kardamuni, being pleased with her, took her around the universe in a specially made airplane. And then finally they got Lord Kapila as her son. So this is a successful Grihastha life. Devati also gave up a lot of lust, pride, envy, greed, sinful activities, and she was her vanity. And this way she served her husband very sanely and diligently, by which she pleased Kardamuni. Another example in the Shastras is in the Mahabharata, where Gandhari is considered to be a very chaste lady. Because Dhritarashtra was blind, she voluntarily became blindfolded, and she entered leaving her body in the fire after Dhritarashtra left his body. This is an example of chastity. On the other hand, there is another very, very nice example how a woman looks at a disaster, a calamity as a positive situation. This is an example in the 8th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, where Bali Maharaj, he had a loving wife named of Vindhyavali. So when Lord appeared as Vamanadev, Lord arrested Bali Maharaj. Initially, when Vamandev arrested Bali Maharaj, she was very, very agitated. But later she realized that Vamandev did this for Bali Maharaj's better good. And then she became very happy. And that Bali Maharaj was deprived of all his opulence by Vamanadev, but he will go back to Godhead. This is very important, that one may have a lot of opulence, but the Lord arranges for the opulence to be withdrawn at the right time so that the disciple can go back to Godhead. And first she was telling Bali Maharaj had falsely claimed proprietorship of what actually belonged to the Lord. I'm sorry. I am concluding the class for the day because not keeping well. I've almost covered everything excepting 1 or 2 points. So my apologies. Grantha Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So enlightening session.
Thank you, Mataji. I'm sorry, my apologies. Gas is building up. Thank you all very much. Grantha Srimad Bhagavatam.